Okay, dear Dhamma friends, so we have come to the second question and answer session of this English medium retreat. So we'll start with the written questions.
Most Venerable Sir, today we have altogether 7 questions, out of which 3 are related to meditation experience.
Okay.
Most Venerable Thero, sitting meditation. Few minutes after sitting, the breath becomes very subtle and after some time goes into a sleep. Most days the sleep is due to sloth and torpor, but certain days I feel a slight jerk and I also feel slight pain and movements of muscles as well as heat in various parts of the body. Since I always go into a sleep in the sitting meditation, I now do only walking meditation most of the time. Can I read the walking meditation?
So actually I also had the same issue. So don't worry much about it. So sometimes we are in a fairly busy schedule sometimes. So when we get into sitting session, so breath maybe becomes subtle and we get into fairly sloth and torpor, that kind of a lethargic state, so mind get to sleep. So rather than sleeping in meditation, so you better walk. So because walking is a really dynamic process, so you have to be really mindful from each step. So it actually helps to develop effort and develop mindfulness. So it does not mean that we cannot sit at all. Later on these faculties will mature, these faculties will refine, and then you come to a stage that you can successfully sit as well. So, and again there's a situation when sometimes when your mind concentrates, it also very close to sleepiness. Even through science it is found that the meditative states lies between the deep sleep and the typical awakened state. So it's like in between state. So you might fall into sleep as well. So but later on you will with experience, with practice, you will understand how to avoid getting to sleep but maintain awakened state of mind, awakened state of concentrated mind. So it is a matter of time. So don't get discouraged. So keep practicing and definitely you will be succeed. Yeah.
This is the same yogi's experience on walking meditation.
Yeah.
Walking meditation. I note the left-right movements, feel the sand touching the sole of my feet. Sometimes I also feel heat on the feet. My mind goes wandering a lot during walking meditation. But I am aware of my thoughts. Most of the thoughts are not related. Most Venerable Bhante, please be kind enough to advise me how I should proceed. Thank you so much for the kindness bestowed upon us. May you attain nirvana in this life itself.
So when your mind goes to thoughts, don't encourage thoughts. So if you are encouraging thoughts or if you are sort of enjoying thoughts, then you cannot stop going on and on. So once you know that now I am with thoughts, now I am thinking, now I am proliferating, so at that very time indicates that you are mindful, because you are able to recognize that what is going on in the mind. You are not totally victimized to it or trapped in it. Rather you have come out of it and you understood now mind is wandering. At that time don't allow it to wander, rather come back to your primary object. So as beginners, typically we definitely have to associate a primary object, what we call as Mula Kammatthana, say Anapanasati, rising and falling, or posture, left, right, say in the walking meditation. So likewise, it is necessary to keep our attention with the primary object. So whenever mind drifts to something else, so once you establish mindfulness, come back to primary object. So with time, mind automatically starts to come. But at the beginning, we have to use the effort and take it back to the primary object. Again, it goes to the something else. Again, we take it back to the primary object. Again, it goes to something else. Again, we take it back to primary object. There is no any other shortcut. So there is no any other shortcut. So I can remember very well how I struggled at my early stages. I can't believe it's jumping. I couldn't keep my mind even in a single second in one place. And at that time, I can remember I was reading Most Venerable Jnanarava Mahathero's this Samatha Vipassana book, and he talks that say 10 minutes you are in one object, 20 minutes you are in one object, 1 hour you are in one object. I was thinking, what an unbelievable thing. Now I can't keep my mind in 1 second in one object, and he's talking 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. So, but you have to keep on trying. So don't give up. So that is the secret. Don't give up. You can tame the mind. Can assure it that you can tame the mind, but at the beginning it's utterly disappointing, because mindfulness development happens utterly slowly. So don't expect it to happen within weeks even. So you have to try hard, and as you try, you will understand mind recognize the kind of frictionless state when it is happening, when it is being with the breath. Till that it is jumping. Because why it is jumping? Because it used to be with these external objects. Those are really, say, generating a lot of happiness, lot of excitement. But whereas the breath is utterly boring. So it is again and again shifting. But later on, slowly, it will understand. So there are other objects. They are really exciting. But that excitement is fairly rough. But being with the breath now giving some kind of a soothing effect, some kind of a calmness. There is no friction. So mind takes time to understand. It is not I doing it. It is a kind of a natural thing. Mind is a say causal thing. So more and more we let it understand. We are again and again taming it. Then mind itself has its own understanding. After that, even when mind drifts, again automatically it will come back. So till that time, we have to struggle. So keep striving, keep putting the effort, but later on you can understand. Now you don't need to put a lot of effort, because mind stays with the concentration. Mind stays with the object. At that time, you have to reduce effort as well. So at the beginning, you need to use effort. Later on, you have to reduce the effort. Then only mind starts concentrating. So these are things we need to learn. Beginning, we have a lot of effort, and we have less concentration. Later on, we have concentration. At that time, we have to reduce effort. Then only the concentration will increase. So these are kind of balancing faculties, and these things we are learning practically. Yeah.
Venerable Sir, I am a novice. I find myself taking a deep sighing breath from time to time. I've experienced this type of breathing in normal life, for example, after getting through a stressful stretch while driving a car, a sigh of relief. Am I artificially converting my meditation experience to an unnecessarily stressful one by subconsciously getting goals and time limits? Thank you.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't get it.
I find myself taking a deep sighing breath from time to time. I've experienced this type of breathing in normal life, for example, after getting through a stressful stretch while driving a car. Within brackets, a sigh of relief. Am I artificially converting my meditation experience to an unnecessarily stressful one by subconsciously setting goals and time limits?
Yeah, actually I can remember, if you are taking a kind of a long, deep breath, it has some kind of a effect to your brain. So therefore it has kind of a positive effect. So sometimes I have seen, say when you are training particularly kids, so we ask to get a deep breath. So then they again relax. Then again a deep breath, again relax. A deep breath, again relax. Then you get into the normal breathing. So it is possible. It is, I mean, it does not have any kind of a bad effect. But suppose you are now calming down the breath. Say it's becoming subtler and subtler. And it is naturally calming down. You are improving concentration. At that time, don't get a deep breath. Willfully don't get a deep breath. Intentionally don't get a deep breath. But that kind of a deep breath naturally also happen. You might have experience as your mind calms down and it reaches kind of a state, and naturally you get a real deep breath, and at the end of deep breath you are like uplifted to another stage. So it's a kind of an indication your mind has shifted to some another state. That is quite normal. But willingly, I mean intentionally, you are taking a deep breath while things are calming down and you couldn't properly recognize this subtle breath. In order to recognize it, you are making it rough and making a forceful breath, then you are harming the meditation. Yes.
Venerable Bhante, while I was doing walking meditation today early morning, I could see from my eyes the upper part of my body slowly moving forward, but the lower part from down the knee were like two sticks walking, like a part of a skeleton. The movements were little quicker than the upper part. I clearly saw it from my mind, but still I felt the touch of the sand also. This is just for your advice, Bhante. Theruvan Saranai.
It is quite normal. So, as we are walking in, our upper part of the body fairly slowly moves, but the legs are fairly fast moving. And again, our soles may touch and feels a lot. So that is what we need to what we are naturally experiencing, and you need to keep your attention more to the lower part of the body. Say below your knees, you have to keep more attention, because that is where fair amount of movement happen. Because walking meditation is really dynamic. So don't try to lift your attention to the upper part of the body and do some kind of a samatha practice here, like keeping your attention at the breath or just to your chest or somewhere, so that you won't get much kind of a challenge. But walking meditation is a challenge. At the beginning it appears like a challenge. That is the beauty of it. So take it like a challenge. So how I can be mindful on this changing process. When left leg is touching on the floor, I have to be mindful on left leg. When my right leg is touching on the floor, I have to be mindful on right leg. And it is shifting all the time. And later on, once you are capable of doing that, at the beginning it like say left, right, left, right, left, right. You simply have kind of a simple identification or simple recognition. Later on, you will understand when you are keeping left leg, it is not just one sensation. It has many sensations. At the beginning, you can check, is it my heel touching first or are the toes touching first? You can recognize which part of foot is touching first. And if the toes are touching, which toe is touching first? So now you are discriminating, very much focusing your attention, and you are developing the sampajanya. You might have heard sati and sampajanya, mindfulness and clear comprehension. This clear comprehension part is the one now you are developing. You know exactly where foot is touching, and even that sensation, what is happening to it. Once it is touching, it may be slowly, you may feel it with less intensity. Later on, that intensity further improves, and then it comes to kind of a threshold. And as you lift your foot, then that also disappears. So likewise, it's a kind of a changing process is there. So slowly, you are understanding these subtle information, kind of subtleties in this experience. Beginning, nothing. Beginning simply left, right, left, right. Later on, you even drop this noting, left and right noting, and you are immersed in this experience and see how much information, how much detail I can capture. So it is extremely necessary to come into this stage, extremely necessary to understand this information, experience this information. Without that, you can't go to a deeper understanding. So there's a kind of a small booklet prepared by late Sayadaw U Pandita. It's named Paving the Way. There he included it as a theory, as a rule. Unless a yogi understand very well about this intrinsic characteristic, kind of private characteristics to each and every element, he can't go to the next stage, that is the understanding of the common characteristics. So don't try to understand deeper things till you are proficient enough in these typical things, typical elementary characteristics. Yes.
Venerable Bhante, in our daily life, we need to plan certain future events in order to face them with confidence. For example, career matters, family life, retirement, etc. How can we organize these while being in the present? Thank you, Venerable Sir.
So actually, while being in the present, now mind is thinking. So actually, when we are telling that you have to be in the present, it does not mean that you are doing it like an escapist. Say you never do planning, you never reflect back. It is not the situation. So you may be in the present moment, but at that time you can do a lot of planning as well. The thing is, while being mindful, you are doing it. Mindfully, you do planning. It is not that the mind is carrying you to something in its own force. But we have some kind of a, say for example, say you have a horse and you have a fence as well around your garden. And suppose your horse is being tightened to a rope and you are holding the rope. And you might have seen this I have seen in the TV that the tamer is actually keeping the rope on his hand, and now this horse is going round and round. He is having the kind of the control on it, something like that. So you allow your mind to do the planning, but you are always aware of what is going on. And if it is going on to too much extent, then you have the ability to pull it back. And again, suppose you reflect back, say you want to recall what has happened really on a particular incident. So you may be recalling it. So while recalling it, you may remember, okay, this happened, that happened, or he came there, he told this, like that you may get all this information. Suppose while you are getting this information, you start to add many things. Okay, why did he do like that? Now you are adding something unnecessary things. So recalling the data is one thing, and adding many artificial things to that data is another thing. So that is the proliferation part. So that is what we need to cut off. But getting the data, stored data, is something we can do mindfully. So don't misunderstand that thinking that we always have to be in the present moment, never think about the future. It is not the case. And you will understand it's like an art. So you are utterly in the present, but you can think as well. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. It's just a clarification linked to this question.
Yes.
When we say that you are able to observe and control your mind,
yes,
the you is another part of the mind also.
You mean when I am telling that you are able to control the mind, so you are asking, is I am controlling the mind, or is it the question?
Yeah, I'm wondering what we refer to as the you. It's still a part of the mind, no?
Yes,
Controlling
yes.
the mind, no?
Yes.
Is it a different part of the mind, or with different qualities? Or
yes, it's a kind of, we can say it's a different qualities. So just for the easy communication, I am using the terms I. Okay, I am controlling the mind. You can control the mind. So these are simple terminologies. But in proper terms, say you have kind of a quality of the mind, say we can call it as mindfulness, and there's another quality of the mind, say going to various objects, what we call as manasikara. Manasikara is we are paying attention to various other objects. Now it is picking up one object and observing it, picking up another object, observing it, analyzing it, picking up another object, analyzing it. But mindfulness is watching each and everything. It's like kind of an observing ability. So you have that observing ability in the mind, and while you are observing, mind is doing various other things. It's like concurrently you are doing it. So particularly when it comes to Chittanupassana, so even when your body is walking, you are mindful about it. Even when you are talking, you are mindful what you are talking. When you are seeing, you are mindful what you are seeing. Similarly, when you are thinking, you are mindful what you are thinking. You are thinking, but you know what is going on in the mind. So it is a kind of a separation happens where you have a watching mind and where you have a kind of a ongoing process as well. This watching mind becomes more and more powerful. At the beginning, you don't have that kind of a capacity. So you are utterly with the object. You are utterly with the habit. So you are totally with the habit, totally trapped in the habit, and you are simply slave to it. But later on, as you develop mindfulness, you develop some kind of a separation. You can be mindful. You can be out of the experience and watch the experience as well. That is a kind of a spiritual quality that you are developing through meditation. Yes.
Dear Venerable, Bhante, this yoga has two questions. Dear Venerable, when I meditate, should I keep my eyes closed, half closed, or open?
Yeah, actually it depends on where you are. So typically, at the beginning, it is better you keep your eyes closed, because you need to avoid distractions as much as possible. So we keep our eyes closed so that our eye faculty is fairly calm. We go to a place which has less disturbances, less sounds, so that our ear faculty is less disturbed or fairly shut down. And we are not having any kind of a catching fragrance, so it's a kind of a normal environment. So your nose faculty also fairly calmed down, and you are not eating, tasting anything. Your tongue faculty also peaceful, and you are not much thinking anything. So you are cutting off the thinking as well. So if you are able to cut that, what you have is the body faculty, only the body. So in Kayanupassana, we are paying fair attention to the body. So what is happening to this body? So just body has subtle sensation. Say for example, it has some natural process going on, that is breathing. So in order to see very much subtle characteristics of breathing, you have to pay fair attention to this breathing alone. So while you are paying attention to breathing, if you are keeping your eyes closed, fair amount of mental energy being drifted or going out through the eyes. If you are hearing many things, it's going through the ears. So like that is where we are selecting a suitable place which has less disturbances, and we keep our eyes closed. We are not tasting anything, and we are not thinking as well. So our faculty on the priority is given to the body. So suppose you are doing this and later you fall asleep. So at that time, better keep your eyes little open. So by that way you can avoid sleeping, because while meditating, no point of sleeping. Then you better go to bed and sleep rather than finding meditation as a way of sleeping. So to avoid sleeping, you can keep your eyes little open. And on the other hand, as you get into a fairly developed stage in, say, Vipassana, even when your eyes are open, mind is not much interested of moving out and catching the objects. And even when you are in a fairly disturbing environment, mind is not interested in listening to those sounds. Even when you can smell various things, mind is not interested of those things. So likewise, your mind develops kind of a ability to stay within. So at that time, you can even keep your eyes open and do your job. So that is why in the, say, walking meditation, you keep your eyes open, but your attention is well focused on what is happening on your foot. So that is a real challenge, because it is not like sitting. Sitting is in that comparatively easy in that sense. But walking, you are, maybe others are also walking, and you have to intentionally lift your foot and move it forward and then it plays. So likewise, kind of activities are there, and at the same time you have to be mindful about these sensations. So therefore in the sitting you begin with closed eyes, and later on you may come to a stage that you can even keep your eyes little open and do sitting. Yes.
Second question. When I feel discomfort, pain, scratching, should I attend it or move past of the body scratch?
Yes. So if you can bear it and keep your attention to the primary object, that is much better. So we are talking here very much about a beginning yogi. So he now has, say for example, breathing as his primary object. So now he is paying attention to in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. While he is doing it, kind of a scratching happens at his leg, for example. If he can neglect it and continue this watching the breath, that is much better. So more you associate primary object, more you are developed. And later on, suppose this scratching improves and you can't bear it. So at that time, better mindfully shift your attention to that place and either scratch it or change your posture or whatever way, you can diminish it and come back to breathing. And there is another stage. Suppose you are coming to a fairly calm down or concentrated state through breathing meditation, and you are in a kind of a concentrated state. You can't recognize whether it is in-breath or out-breath. It becomes utterly simple, utterly reduced to a single sensation-like thing. And if you can maintain that, suppose you are maintaining it for a while, and at that time, suppose certain scratching happens, or another sensation happen, a little pain happen in your body. Now you can shift your attention to that little pain or to that scratching, kind of a vibration, and start watching those. So then the whole body becomes a valid experience. It is not just the breathing, but the whole body becomes a kind of a area which is valid, which is giving enough information for meditation.
Dear Venerable, question number 1. Can you please explain the naming process, thinking, observing during meditation?
Thinking, observing. So I think okay, we'll answer like that. So observing, is it yours?
When you meditate and you have a thought, you say, oh, thinking.
Thinking.
Or you are dreaming, I say dreaming. To drop them, it's a technique to not focus anymore on them, no?
Yes.
The naming or, yes.
Yeah, say for example, say you are breathing, you are meditating on breath, for example, and when in-breath happens, you can label it. Okay, it is in-breath. When out-breath happens, you label it out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. So this is what we call as naming, or it is what we call as labeling. It is a technique used at the beginning. So it helps you to keep your attention well focused. So that is a useful tool. Suppose you are successful in it, and now you can simply be with the experience. Now in-breath happens, and you don't need to call it or verbalize it like in-breath. When out-breath happens, you can simply be with it and do not need to verbalize it as out-breath. So at that time you drop this verbalizing. drop this naming and just be with the experience. So now kind of a sensation is there to indicate now it is the in-breath. And there's a kind of a sensation which is different from the previous one, and you understand now it is the out-breath, and you are aware of it, fully mindful about it. And at that time, still you may understand it is in-breath and it is out-breath. Later on, it calms down, it becomes subtler and subtler. And suppose you come to a state, just a subtle sensation is there, and it is changing, and you can't recognize is it the in-breath or is it the out-breath. At that time, don't confuse yourself or don't do any kind of forced breathing. Let that subtle sensation to be there. So at that time, you have to allow calm down. Passam bhayang kaya sankharang. That is what Buddha says. Passam bhayang kaya sankharang asasissamiti sikkati. You allow breath to calm down, further calm down. Don't get agitated. Rather, let it calm down. At that time, just a sensation is there to indicate that you are not dead. Something is going on, but you can't distinguish whether it is in-breath and out-breath. This stage is, we can say it is what we call as upachara samadhi, neighborhood concentration, and that is fair enough to move to the vipassana. And at this stage, actually, you have reached out of the conventional reality. So far we are in the conventional reality, okay, in-breath, out-breath, all are conventions. But now you are in a kind of a direct experience, and you utterly aware of it, and you can't name it like, and you can't use the typical vocabulary, and you can simply directly know it, directly experiencing it. So at that time, don't do any kind of naming, and you don't need to find out where that sensation occur either. I mean, you don't need to even find the location, and you don't need to name it. You simply be with the experience. So these are certain stages that you are passing in the meditation. So at the beginning, this labeling, naming is useful. Later you drop it, and you simply be with the experience. And then the experience becomes subtler and subtler. And then you simply be with the experience without altering anything. You are, I mean, there are no preferences at that time. You are simply accepting any experience. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, actually, I was wondering, when you're able to name a thought, like, okay, I'm thinking now, or I am daydreaming, it's a way also to get rid of them or to discard them, no? The labeling towards the thoughts. So I was wondering, how does it work exactly, this technique for...
Yeah, I mean, so say while you watch the breath, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, so suppose you are doing it. When you are doing it, say automatically you start to think about France. Okay? So at that time you need to understand, okay, I am now in Sri Lanka, no more in France. So you have to bring your attention back to breath. So if you are thinking at this time while you are watching your breath about France, that is proliferation. That is mental proliferation, because now your body is not in France, just to understand. So you are now in a different place, and body is going through a kind of a natural process, and mind is drifting to something else. Mind has gone to past. So if you start to enjoy that thinking, what you did in France, who are the friends there, and how you encountered this and that, and what you did and all, then you start back in the proliferation. That has to be avoided. So that has to be discouraged. And even a really important thing you recall, still you have to discourage it. Without it, you can't come back to present moment. Till you are enjoying it, till you encourage it, you will be lost in thoughts. That we call as mental proliferation. And suppose you do it, for example, say 10 minutes, you are in that dream, kind of in the past. And all of a sudden you understand, oh, I am now in Sri Lanka, now I am meditating, I have to watch the breath. So that is the establishment of the mindfulness. That's an indication of the coming back to the present moment. At that time, just forget what has happened, come back to breath. That's the process. Yeah.
Second question.
Yeah.
Is practicing mindfulness the best way to connect to our Buddha nature? Thank you.
Yes, of course. So actually, so you are using the term mindfulness. So it is the beginning of the meditation. Also, we can say mindfulness. That is where Buddha says the 4 satipatthana, development of the mindfulness. And later on, mindfulness further improves, and it comes to a fairly advanced stage, what we call as faculty level, indriya level, where you can understand there is a quality called mindfulness. At some times I am not mindful, at some another time I am mindful. So likewise you can very well understand the quality of mindfulness. At the beginning you don't know anything about mindfulness. So say you are utterly unmindful. So you are lost in various thoughts and like that, and your mind jumps from one object to the other object, thinking and daydreaming, future planning, all the sorts of things are there. Now we are introducing something called mindfulness. That is nothing but you coming back to the present experience, and you are simply observing the present experience, keeping your attention in the present experience. And it's a kind of a, say, only for few seconds you are able to do it. Later on you capitalize it. Okay, about 5 minutes can I be mindful? Okay, for 5 minutes you are being with breath, or 5 minutes you are in the walking. Left, right, body is utterly in the present, and now your mind also in the present for 5 minutes only. But later another, say, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, and you understand, okay, there is something called mindfulness. That is how you kind of introducing mindfulness to yourself. And then you understand, sometimes only I am mindful, every other time I am thinking. I am either in the past or in the future. So now you understand more, and still further you develop, and later you understand that mindful time is increased and unmindful time has reduced. And you understand, okay, where I become unmindful, where I lost my mindfulness. So that is another improvement. So therefore, I mean, Buddha says, appamado amata padang, pamado machuno padang. So he says, when we are unmindful, it is like dead. Because we never live in the present. And we always, check yourself. When we are not meditating, we are not in the present moment. We are always skipping the present moment and either in the past or the future. So that is where Buddha says we are always planning to live. Always planning to live. Always thinking about the next stage or next plan, but never live in the present. So when are we going to live in the present? So if some person who is now retired, then he is always planning the next stage. As a, say, young kid, he started, okay, while he is doing in the first grade, he was thinking about the second grade. While in the second grade, he is thinking about the third grade. While being in the third grade, he is thinking about the scholarship or whatever thing. And while doing he is thinking about the O-levels. Then while doing O-levels, he is planning about A-levels. While doing A-levels, he is planning university. While in the university, he is planning about a job. While being in the job, he is planning for the marriage. While in marriage, he is planning for kids. Oh God. So when he is having one kid, he is planning for the other kid. So when having many children, he is planning their progress. How I can get my child to be married to a good person. How I can plan for my next promotion. So then we are planning for the promotion, we are planning for the retirement. So we retire. Okay, now you got the retirement. So now we are planning, okay, where I am going to meditate. So you are now planning to go to a meditation retreat. So we are always planning, always in the future. So that is where Buddha says, you never live in the present moment. So in meditation retreat, we are trying to live in the present moment. Yeah. Yes. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, we have to plan for death as well. Yes. Yeah. But like, yes, something to.
Thank you. It's maybe my question was not clear enough. I'm still wondering, but I'm convinced. But I would like maybe clarification. The whole point of practicing and developing mindfulness and to be more and more mindful in our activities is to be in contact with this Buddha nature, no? And I'm calling it like this. It's the potential of enlightenment, full of good qualities, love, compassion. And the more we are mindful, the more we are able to express these qualities, no? This is the whole objective, no?
Yeah, you can say so. I mean, it is like, so Buddha seeing Dhamma. That is how we can interpret like. So you are in if I am speaking with your terms, you are encouraging the Buddha nature to understand what is really going on. So understand the reality, understand the way it is. So Buddha says, so this development or these practices leads us to understand about who we are, who I am, into the proper, I mean in the common terms. And more you understand yourself, there are some results happening. Say once you become moral, then it gives some kind of a happiness, some kind of a peace in your mind. When you have some peace in your mind, you feel some kind of a bodily comfort. That's the next stage. So once you feel bodily comfort, sukha, and it leads to some kind of a mental concentration. That's the next effect. It's a kind of a chain reaction. So when you are developing one stage, it takes you to the next stage. Once you are in this stage, it takes you to the next stage. And say you are now feeling concentrated. While feeling concentrated, you are watching the body, what is happening in the body. So the concentration leads to understanding. So samahito yatha bhutam pajanati. While you are concentrated, maintaining your concentration, you are watching the body, what's going on in the body, how it behaves, what are the various sensations, how they are behaving, am I in control of them, are they permanent or are they giving me enough satisfaction? So you are watching them, so you are getting some understanding. So more you get this understanding, you go to the next stage. So likewise is a kind of a natural development of the mind. So that is ultimately, say you can call it that proper or positive mental qualities are developed. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
This is the final question, Bhante. Yesterday during question and answer session, you explained how to turn on to Dhatu Manasikara when practicing Anapana, stroke rising and falling. Please elaborate.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Yesterday during the question and answer session, you explained how to turn on to Dhatu Manasikara while practicing Anapanasati or rising and falling.
Yes.
So the yogi wants you to please elaborate on that.
So say you are doing Anapanasati. So as I explained just now, say you are coming to various stages. Say at the beginning you only be mindful about in-breath and out-breath. Later on it becomes you are able to understand, okay, particular in-breath is long when compared to the previous one, or particular in-breath is short when compared to the previous in-breath. Particular out-breath is long when compared to the previous out-breath. Likewise, you are able to understand these subtle differences as well. Then you start to see the complete cycle of the in-breath and out-breath, how it begins, how it goes in the middle, and then how it diminishes or reduces, or the ending of the in-breath. Similarly, the out-breath. So likewise, you are able to see the complete cycle of in-breath and out-breath. And now breath becomes subtle. It becomes very calm down, and you allow it to calm down. And as I said, you may reach to a stage where you can't now distinguish whether it is in-breath and out-breath, because what is available is just a sensation. So that's a fair indication that you have now reached a fair amount of concentration. If you are able to maintain that concentration, say about 15 minutes, then you can take that concentration to any part of the body which has some kind of a sensation. Say while you are maintaining your attention at the nostril, say your legs are touching. So at that touching point, you may feel some kind of a heat, or you may feel some kind of stiffness. You may feel some kind of, heat, some kind of pressure. So all these things are kind of an indication of other sensations. So rather than keeping your attention at the nostril, now you shift your attention to that place and you start watching that. So if you have enough developed concentration here, this subtle sensation appear like really strong. Now we are not talking here like a really extreme pressure, but this concentrated mind has the capacity to recognize it with a lot of pressure, because that's the ability of the concentration. And suppose you are able to watch it, and say you stay with it, and then suppose it diminish, it goes away, it disappear, and suppose there's another place you start to feel that another sensation, you slowly shift there. So as you develop this ability, any place, whenever kind of a sensation appear, you can immediately shift your attention to that place. Once you shift your attention to that place, whole mental energy is with you, and with whole mental energy you are watching it, and you know exactly where it is, you know exactly how it is going on, and you watching it. Say you have some pressure, and how this pressure changing. Now you are getting to even more information. What is happening to this pressure? Is it kind of a same intensity? Is it only limited to one particular point, or is it a kind of many pressure points? So likewise, you are now studying it further. Probably you might understand, okay, it has many pressure points. One pressure point starts and it goes disappear. Another pressure point starts and disappear. Another pressure point starts and disappear. So likewise, this concentrated mind now give you more information. So how you recognize these things? And you have to be with these things. And again, suppose you can't get much information there, but another place appears now prominent, and you shift your attention to there. Then you watch that. So this process has to go for a fair amount of time. That is where Buddha says, Samudaya Dhammanupassiva Kayasmin Viharati. Why Dhammanupassiva Kayasmin Viharati? Where you see this changing nature throughout the body. So these are this pressure, this stiffness, maybe rubbing, maybe movement, maybe flowing, kind of a cohesion. All these things are element characteristics. Now we are in the Dhatu Manasikara. Simply elements are talking through these ways. So we are simply watching various elements, how they are talking to us, how they are manifesting. And we are now in the Dhatu Manasikara. So suppose someone is doing it, so he understands now my body is nothing but, say, kind of various, say, vibrations, various movements, various stiffness, various, say, movements, say, vibrations. So likewise, all these things are, he become kind of understood that this body is nothing but these four elements. And if he pay his attention to outside also the same. Then Buddha says, so this inside and outside are merely four elements. So you basically lose this difference. You don't, typically we consider this body belongs to me, it is utterly important, and the outside is entirely out of me. This body is more important than everything else. But now you understand this body is just four elements. Outside also four elements. That is where you get some kind of a perspective which is fairly detached. Now you are going to a further advancement in the Dhatu Manasikara. So that is how it is developing. And this detachment is necessary. So this dispassion is necessary. This is one part of the Vipassana. Yeah.
Okay, when I try to do meditation, and always they're coming thoughts in my mind, but I don't value them. They have no. I don't count them. It's like a train going from one side to the other side.
Yes.
And
so
yeah.
At this time, don't. When you are watching that train of thoughts, are you get caught to it?
No, there come a lot of.
Yes.
There are a lot of trains coming.
Okay. So you just allow those trains to go, but you be with the body.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what are you looking at in your body?
So, just watch it and let it go.
No, typically don't go immediately to watch the thoughts. So, first find some process available in the body. Say when you are sitting, you can feel as you're breathing in, your abdomen comes forward. As you breathe out, your abdomen falls back. Can you pay your attention to that abdominal movement? That is one technique of meditation. So first of all, we have to use this body as a meditating object. So we are not going to watch the thoughts immediately. It is really before going to watch the thoughts, we need to develop fair amount of mindfulness. So therefore Buddha particularly say, don't go to watch the thoughts immediately. So keep always your attention to body. Right now, okay, now body is breathing. So therefore I have this, abdomen is rising. Now it is falling. Now it is rising. Now it is falling. And you keep your attention on this rising cycle. How it is starting, how it is moving forward, and how it stops. Now you feel some kind of a stiffness. Now it is beginning of the falling. How the falling cycle starts, how it is going on, how it reduces, and how it finishes. Now there's a kind of a gap before the next rising cycle begins. Again, now the next rising cycle begins. So you are being with the rising, again being with the falling. Like that, one after the other, you be with rising and falling. So this is how we develop mindfulness. This is how we develop concentration. So likewise, we need to associate this kind of a meditation object, what we call as a primary object. So rising and falling is one such primary object. And in-breath and out-breath is another such primary object. So you select one of them. For most yogis, nowadays, rising and falling is mostly straightforward. So you can find that, you can use that. And suppose while you are watching it, one train of thoughts coming. So you neglect it, if possible. You neglect it and take your attention back to rising and falling. Okay.
Story.
Yeah. So you are using the car, not the train. Yeah. Yeah. So that's all the written questions. So if you have any other question, we can answer. Otherwise, we can wind up the session. Yeah.
This is just to add something.
Yes.
To what you explained. Some of the questions of yesterday and today, they are from persons who have not sort of progressed in meditation. So many of the questions are because of that. As you meditate and improve mindfulness, some of these things you experience yourself.
Exactly.
So yes. you don't have to get clarification at that time.
Yes.
So, but at the start, beginners always have these
many
questions
doubts.
Of, will this happen? How can that happen?
Yes, yes.
They try to sort of reason out logically.
Yes.
That won't work.
Yes, definitely.
It is like, as an example, illustration, it is like riding a bicycle.
Yes.
The bicycle, you look at it, it won't stand by itself.
Yes.
But how can you get up on it and then make it stand?
Yes.
It's a question. But of course, after some time, you can just ride.
Yeah.
Not only ride, sometimes no hands.
Yes,
you
that's
can
right.
ride without touching anything.
That's right.
And
that's
sometimes
right.
the fellow stands on the seat. So various things happen.
Yes.
But that comes with experience.
Exactly.
Practice.
Exactly. So if you try to without never riding the bicycle, if you try to logically analyze it, how can a two-wheel bicycle be balanced? So you can't give a theory through that, but through experience you can do it. So like that. So I also like to invite you to taste the apple. Don't try to analyze it before tasting it. So it is like that. Yeah. Okay then. So if there is no any other question, so we'll wind up this question and answer session. Yeah.
How can I manage to be in the moment and to organize the future?
In the moment and organize the future.
Yeah, because we also, I think in normal life we also have to plan the future.
Yeah. So in a way, so you may have some kind of a plan, but if we are keep on thinking about that plan but never work towards that, you can't reach the plan. You can't implement the plan. So you may have a kind of a goal, but today you do what is necessary to reach the goal. So today you are doing your part, that's all. And tomorrow you are doing that part, that's all. The next day you do that part. So ultimately you may reach the goal. But if we are too much planning, too much thinking, but not much paying attention to the present duty, present what you have to contribute, then you can't reach the goal. So more and more we have to just do whatever the given task properly, then we may be able to reach the goal as well. So it does not mean that we should not have any kind of a future plan. And even that can happen as you say you have some kind of detachment. So you may understand, if now what I am talking is in a kind of a fairly advanced yogi, he may understand it is even though I might plan, always things happening in a different way. So you are planning, but when things are materializing, when things are really implemented, it is in an entirely different way. So all your planning is useless then. So only a certain amount is true, but most other plans are waste. So therefore, no point of too much thinking, too much planning, but rather in the present, if there's a particular task assigned to you, by fulfilling it, by implementing it properly, you may be able to accomplish your future plan as well. Yeah. Okay then, so we'll wind up this session. So thank you very much for joining actively participation.